Hey everyone, so this is Catfish Season 7, Episode 9, called Infiniti and Dave. So, Infiniti is the catfishy, Dave is the catfisher. In the initial email, Infiniti's like, I'm 19, I work in retail, but I have a dream of becoming a professional dancer. So, she's writing it about Dave because 6 months before, um, she met him what she says later as on Facebook, um, and was told he's 25 years old. So um, apparently they both live in New York, and so she thought it would be easy for them to meet up. But he always has some excuse. He recently told her that he would be going to LA for work and he wouldn't be back until March. So on Skype, she's like, well, um, when I met Dave, he made it sound like, well, he knew me from the neighborhood, um, and hasn't told me what he does for work. Um, so they ask her if he has any knowledge of the city. She's like, well, the only thing that he's talked about is a restaurant that Neve promptly tells her is a chain restaurant across the country, the entire country. Not sure how big of a chain it is, but it's still a chain that has restaurant stores open all over the country. Um, they text, but whenever she tries to call him, she either can't hear him at all, can't hear him that well, or she can't talk to him at all. Or no, she can't hear him at all, can't hear him that well, or he's too busy to talk on the phone. So Neve and Max go to New York and meet up with Infiniti. She reveals that when they started talking, he would text from different numbers and try to play it off like he only changed numbers because of work. But Infiniti wasn't believing that shit at all. She's like, well, that just still doesn't make sense as to why your number keeps changing. Like, if you work for a living, you should have one number and one number only for your boss or associates could call you out on. So she wasn't buying that shit at all. So she's like, well, the number I have for him now is a 323 number, which Neve tells her is a California number. So she's like, well, I feel like he's in another relationship and isn't being truthful about it. So Neve asks to see his Instagram. When she tries to pull it up, she can't even see it. She can't even find it anymore, even though she was just following it like what, day before or something. So, they ask her to look at his Facebook, but she doesn't have a Facebook anymore, so she can't pull that up. They then look at the text and find one recent text from Dave asking her to send her a vagina pic. I'm not going to be too subtle about it. It's just a down there pic. How about that? And he says that to her in order for her to see him that night, she has to send him one. I also see that in text messages that she told him she was writing into Catfish, and his first response was to say, "No, don't do that." And I also find it interesting that after she told him about writing into the show, she all of a sudden can't find him on Instagram. I found it very suspicious. They ask her to send them all the information she has for him before leaving. And the next day they start investigating. They open the email she sent with all of his information. The first thing she says in it is that she found his Instagram, but it's locked to her now. Meaning, which I took to mean was that he purposely went to her profile or went to his followers list, or the people that are following him, and purposely, forced her account to unfollow his. Because it doesn't say she's blocked, because otherwise it would say that she was blocked. I believe so. So, she also wrote in an email that two friends, Nay and Nellie, know of her dating Dave and tell him that it would be alright to call them to ask questions. So they call Nay first, but she doesn't answer, so they call Nelly. And when she answers, they FaceTime her, and she's telling all this stuff about how she and Infiniti were supposed to meet up with him in Miami, and he never showed up. And that was when she became suspicious of him and all that. So Neve's like, well, she's telling them one thing when in fact it's the opposite, and she's purposely leaving out things like the Miami trip and the thing about saying one thing when it's the opposite is that she says that she hasn't really talked to him on the phone, but Nelly's like, well, she has. So when they get off the phone with her, they search the photos but don't find anything. They look up his Instagram and send a message to some of his followers, and they then look up his phone number and they come back with a hit. It comes back to this guy named Maximo, who is 35 in New York. There's a link to a Facebook profile, and they go to it, and it's just, wow. That picture gave me all types of creep vibes. I was like, I feel like I should be on a case of Unsolved Mysteries just looking at that shit, or a case of like, if they had a version of Deadly Women that was specific for men, I feel like I should be on that, because that shit sounds, that shit looked like I would go missing because of that photo itself. I mean, I'm sorry, not really sorry, but I just felt that way. That picture looked like a fucking mugshot. Sans the police information in it. So, I mean, sorry, not really sorry. So, they decide to send this Maximo dude a message, and so they wait for him to message him back. The next day, they don't see any messages on Facebook, so Neve texts the number associated with it, and they get a text back saying it's not Maximo but Dave. So he's like, I can't talk right now, but I can in a few hours. Okay, whatever. They then go to Infiniti's dance studio where she practices. Excuse me. But on the way over, Dave calls, and he's like, well, I'll text you an address to meet up with me. And so when they get to the dance studio, they tell Infiniti what they found. And of the place where he sent a text to meet up at. And so once they go to the place, which is like some rec center, they find out it's one of her, I guess, acquaintances or whatever, because she doesn't say that she like they're friends, like she's friends with Nelly, but that they've seen each other once in a while, like at parties and stuff like that. So and I don't know if I said what his name was, but his name is Ray. And she's like, why didn't you just tell me it was you? And he comes up with this fucking excuse about how, like, well, you never paid much attention to me before. And it's like, well, and then a second later we find out he never really even asked her ass out before. Which doesn't make any sense, because if he never asked her out before, I mean, yeah, I get that she never, like, at this point I was thinking, I get that, she never really actually showed any interest in you, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't have asked her out in the first place. So he's like, well, the only reason why I'm saying I want to meet you is because I'm talking to someone seriously now. Like, I was just like, yo, oh boy, like, shut up. Like, I mean, now all of a sudden you want to be serious with somebody? Like, weren't you just serious with her? Like, seriously into her as Dave? Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, I don't get it. So, and I was just thinking, like, he sounds like a complete fuckboy, because he didn't get the chance to get her ass in bed. It just sounds like a total fuckboy. And I was like, again, sorry, not sorry, because that shit sounds so fuckboyish, like, not even. So, they break for the day, and the next day, Neve's in his hotel room by himself, and he gets a call from this girl, Cabria, who says Ray is not the catfish, and took the fall for someone else. She says Infiniti needs to talk to her friend, Jonelle. So, Neve goes to Max's room, and tells him what just happened. So, Max is like, immediately thinking Nelly is short for Janelle. So they call Infiniti, and Neve asks if she talked to anyone after what happened the previous day, and she says only to Nelly. So he's like, is Nelly short for something? And they find out Nelly's actually short for Janelle. So he tells her that they may not have the whole story yet, and asks to go over to her house to tell her what just happened. So she's like, okay, fine, and hangs up. So before they do go over to her house, call Nelly to, have her come over to Infiniti's house. And then they make their way over to Infiniti's house, and they tell her what just happened. And Neve asks Infiniti if Nelly could have been Dave after all, and she instantly is like, no way, no bueno, that's not what it is. And I'm just like, girl, it is indeed it is indeed possible for her to be Dave, because Dave never fucking wanted to talk to her on the phone, and if he would, your ass couldn't even hear him, or hear him well. So, and his ass sure as hell never met up with you or wanted to video chat with you. So it's entirely possible that Nelly could have done this. So when Nelly gets over there, Neve's like, we know, well, not that we know, but that Cabria called me this morning and told us some stuff about how Ray wasn't the catfish, and Nelly's like, he is the catfish, and asked her not to tell Infiniti. So Infiniti gets up and goes to another room with Neve following, and she's upset. So Max is like, Nelly, is that all there is to it? She's like, no, that's not the whole. That's not entirely it. So she and Max go to the other room where Neve and Infiniti are, and she's like, it wasn't really Ray. It was me. And the reason I did it is because way back when, in like middle school or high school, Infiniti gave my number to some boy that and from the way she said it was that this boy that Infiniti gave Nelly's number to was infatuated with Infiniti and did it as a joke or whatever to talk to Nelly or some shit. It was just weird. And so basically this whole thing with the Dave profile was to get back at her, to like be some kind of joke. It was all shades of fucking confusing at this point. And Max is like, I'm having flashbacks of middle school. And I was like, yo, dude, I'm getting flashbacks of middle school as well. Like, it sounds so fucking, because one of them brought up, it sounds so fucking juvenile. It is. It sounds incredibly fucking juvenile. And I'm just like, yo, what, like, are we back in fucking, like, middle school here? Because it really does sound like some middle school type of shit. Like, it really does. And I'm just like, the fuck you doing? So Neve talks to Nelly alone, and Max and Infiniti are in the other room listening to Neve talk to Nelly, and Nelly's like, well, Infinity would tell Dave things that she wouldn't tell to Nelly, and she felt Infinity would have an attitude with her, but not with Dave, and so therefore she would tell Dave things that, like I said, she would tell things to Dave that she wouldn't tell them to Nelly, and so she was upset about it and all that stuff, and that's basically it for that part of it. So 2 months later, Nelly and Infinity are on vacation together in Miami. After Nelly had sent Infinity this long paragraph, I assume through Facebook message, about how she was sorry again, and invited her to go on vacation together. And Infinity apparently has a new guy in her life. We don't know who, which I mean that's fine if you don't want to say, but she apparently has a new dude, in her life. So, this is the first episode this entire season that I was completely here for. The entire episode, completely. And like I said, like, this is the first time, and this is episode 9. In 9 episodes, 8 out of those 9, which is like 90%, like 90 to 95% of the episodes so far have been either completely lackluster or lose my fucking interest by the time the Catfish is revealed. And that is bad. That is bad. It's like 90 to 95% of the episodes so far have completely just been losing my interest either halfway through or like 3/4 of the way through the episode. And yeah, I mean, so this is like literally the first episode of the entire season that I was actually here for it. I think the first episode I was kind of like, again, I was mostly here for it, but then by the reveal, it was just like, I was like, no, I'm done, I can't. And it just continued like that for 7 more episodes, or 8 more episodes until Wednesday night. So I'm just saying, like, that's a bad track record for a single season, and ever, in my opinion. But yeah, I was here for it. I loved it, actually. I haven't felt like heated during the entire episode, like this. I mean, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's like I haven't really felt like Catfish has been like its old seasons and this entire season, and so I just feel like it was like an older episode from Wednesday night's episode. So personally, I liked it. I mean, I don't know how anyone else felt about it, but I liked it. I thought it was better than, like I said, this entire season. So but anyway, next week on Catfish, Dylan writes in about this girl named Sabina who he has been talking to for 5 years. Count it, 5. I'm like, whoa, that's like if you're a teenager, that's like basically half your fucking life. That's like half your life. 5 years ago, I was like 20. I was 20. Damn, I feel old now. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway. So apparently she writes in saying she's not who she says she is. I'm gonna say that this Vina chick is actually one of Dylan's female friends who has a crush on him. So it's basically like this, episode 9, except she has a crush on him. It's basically like the Brandon and McKenna episode where that girl was in love with Brendan for all 4 years of their high school lives, and basically he was leading her. I mean, it's sort of like it, but not really. Like, he was leading her on and all of that, by saying one thing to her alone and doing something completely different in front of other people. So it's kind of like that, but not really. Like I don't think Dylan knows that this girl's in love with him or likes him. I just think that he's completely oblivious to it, and so the only way she could really, talk to him, like let him know her feelings about him, was to catfish him. So personally, that's what I think it is. So if y'all think something different, I would love to hear about it in the comments. If not, then if you think something else, let me know, and I will see you guys next week.